Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sedelia Njai, and you're watching the Sedelia Njai Show. And I want to apologize. A couple of our followers previously were saying something about them not being able to hear sound. So would you please let me know in the live if you can hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and that everything's okay, so that we can proceed. In the meantime, I'm really excited to have you all here tonight. We have a special guest, Mr. Kevin Tarr, who is the man behind the tech company Nerd Inventions. Okay, you guys have even probably seen on your iPhones or your Androids a game app. If you guys are gamers and you're really into that, you've probably seen games such as Zoobler and Zenith VR, and you're wondering who is the creator behind those things, right? So we're going to get into the mind a little bit of creators and app and tech creators in general. We're going to get into the mindset a little bit this evening. This is something that I've never done, and I'm really excited about it. Because it's going to be a really special show where we're going to learn a little bit more about tech, about the future of virtual reality. Because I don't know, honey, do you know about virtual reality? I need to know. I need to learn everything that there is to need to know. So that's what we do here on the Sedelia Njai Show. But before we do that, you know that I have a routine. I have something that always happens, and that is we do a check-up from the neck up. Do you understand? We try and check in a little bit and see how we're doing. Now, I wanted to give a little bit more time for people to join us, so what I'm going to do is recap last week's check up from the neck up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recap what we did last week for those newcomers joining in and to give time for our followers to join us. But then we're going to go into the new segment of the check up from the neck up. So mental health is really important. This is a self-care assessment that I have created based on, it's not something that, I'm not a healthcare professional, disclaimer. I have created this assessment based on various sources. Okay, I've pulled from here, pulled from there, resources even like the American Psychological Association, to kind of pull things from psychological departments of different various universities, just to kind of allow us, to check in with ourselves and how we're doing with all these crazy and hectic times with COVID and the Black Lives Matters movement. I think it's so important for us to really be aware of how we're moving forward. So last week, I believe we spoke about psychological self-care and what that looked like. And that was you rating for yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 what your self-care looked like, right? So this is basically 5 means frequently, means that you agree or disagree with these statements, basically, okay? So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 is, yes, very frequently. I acknowledge it, I understand it, I use it, I practice it as much as possible. Yes? All right. 4 is occasionally. Yeah, sometimes. I know about it, but I don't do it as much as maybe I should. Maybe not as should. I do it as much as I can, okay? 3, I don't do it as much as I should. Rarely, okay? Then we have 2, which is never. I never do these things. Even though I know that they are necessary, I never do these things. Then we have 1. It never occurred to me. I never even thought that I should do this. Again, self-care. All right. So this segment of the self-care we're recapping from last week was psychological self-care. 1, are you making time for self-reflection? Are you making time for self-reflection? On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Are you making time for self-care? Very good. Secondly, do you have your own personal psychotherapy? Do you talk to yourself? Are you an aware being? Are you conscious? Are you analyzing yourself? Do you have your own psychotherapy? Very good. Thirdly, write in a journal. I write in a journal. 1 to 5. Do you fairly agree or disagree with the statement? 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. I write in a journal. Very good. Read literature. Do I read literature that is unrelated to work? Not just read literature, but do I read literature that is unrelated to work? Do I read literature that is unrelated to work? All right. Then do something at which you're not an expert or in charge of. Do you do something that at which you are not an expert or in charge of. That means anything outside of work. Do you do something in your life where you're not in charge? Very important. All right. Next, decrease stress in my life. Do you decrease stress in your life? On a scale of 1 to 5. Do you decrease stress in your life? Okay, I'll give you guys a little time to get through that. This is a recap, so we're going quicker because we're going to do the second part more. This is a recap. All right. Next, do I let others know different aspects of myself? Do I let others know different aspects of me? I need to know. I need to find out. Do I let others know different aspects of me? Think about it. Very good. Do I notice my inner experience? Do I notice my inner experience? What does that mean? Am I listening to my thoughts, my judgments, my beliefs, my attitudes, and my feelings? Do I listen to those things? Those are the inner thoughts. Okay. Next, do I engage in intelligence in a new area? Okay, so I'm in media and I'm in poetry. Do I do things outside of that? Do I try to learn about tech like I'm doing tonight? Okay, am I engaging in technology, or not technology, but in different domains of technology, not social media. We're not talking about that, okay? Or do I go to an art museum or an exhibit or a sports event? I'm not necessarily a sports fan, but do I go to sports events? Do I go to theatrical performances? Do I go for walks along the beach in the park? Okay, whatever it is. There you go. Very good. Am I curious? Am I curious? That's the next one. Am I curious? Very good. Do I say no to extra responsibilities sometimes? Sometimes extra stuff you got to say no. You have to say no to keep your sanity. 1 to 5. You guys be honest with yourselves. Be very honest with yourselves. Very good. Then we have, am I practicing receiving from others? Do I try and receive from others? It's important to know. Then we have, am I curious? Are you curious? Are you a curious individual? That's very important. Are you a curious individual? Very good. That's a recap of last week. So we're going to finish up with that. And this week I want to talk to you guys about emotional self-care. Are you doing what you need to do to exercise emotional self-care? 1, are you spending time with yourself? Are you spending time with yourself? That means dating yourself, getting to know yourself on different levels, doing things that you enjoy. It could be anything. And I know that everyone resorts to watching a movie or watching Netflix, a TV show, a movie, etc., Netflix, Amazon Prime, you name it. But that's not only one way of dating yourself. That's okay. That's not so bad. I do that too. But there are other ways to do that. Are you doing the other things that engage you and that go to dinner with yourself? Take yourself out for a walk. Take yourself out to the beach. Take yourself out to dinner. Yes, I do those things sometimes because it's necessary. It's necessary. So think about that when you're thinking about emotional self-care. Am I spending time with myself? 1 to 5. Next. Am I spending time with others whose company I enjoy? Am I spending time with others whose company I enjoy? Excellent. Then we move forward. Am I staying in contact with the important people in my life? I know we're all so busy. We're all busy. We're all busy. It's an excuse sometimes, though. Yes? We don't think about it, but we need to be more conscious of it. Do whatever you need to do to remember to reach out to those that are important to you so that they don't feel neglected. And it's not about them. It's about you, too, so that you are enriched and that you receive what you need to receive. Okay? Even if you're busy with work, put it on a calendar. I put everything, even like a hangout, I put it on my calendar now just because I'm so busy. It's important to do that. It's important to do that. So, are you reaching out to the people in your life and staying in contact with them? Scale of 1 to 5. Are you giving yourself affirmations? Affirmations. I am, fill in the blank. You need to praise yourself. Are you giving yourself affirmations? I am, fill in the blank. Are you loving yourself? That can look like many different things. You should check out the previous episodes of the Sedalia and Jai Show where we talk about these different aspects of self-love and what that looks like. There are different ways to take care of yourself and to love yourself. So check those out. We're not going to get into that too much into detail tonight. Here's something else. Random. Reread. Do you reread your favorite books or your favorite movies? Scale of 1 to 5. Be honest. Be honest. Tell me the truth. Be honest. Are you rereading books or rewatching movies that you loved growing up? I do that all the time. I think I'm caring for myself pretty good. Because it reminds you of how you felt when you watched or read those things. Yes? Very good. Do you allow yourself to cry? Men and women, be honest. Do you allow yourself to cry? Do you identify comforting activities? Do you identify things that comfort you? Do you identify people that make you feel well? Do you identify objects that make you feel good? Do you identify places that make you feel good? Seek them out. On a scale of 1 to 5, be very honest with me. Do you express your outrage in social action? Ooh, we're getting to our Black Lives Matter stuff now. Do you express your outrage in social action, letters and donations, marches, protests? Tell me. Be honest with yourself. Let me know. Are you expressing outrage in social action, letters, donations, marches, protests to better yourself and to make yourself feel better and to take care of your emotions? Lastly, do you play with children? On a scale of 1 to 5, I found that extremely cathartic. Do you play with children? Incredible. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight in this live. Thank you, El DeLeon, for joining me. This is a self-care portion. We're wrapped up with that. We're going to move forward and bring in our special guest tonight. I hope that you guys took that self-care. I know it's going to be on the live on my page. For those of you who miss it, you guys are going to be able to catch it and tune into it later and tap into the self-care. If you miss the self-care portion, for my newcomers joining in, don't worry. It's going to be on my page. It's going to be on my live. I hope that you can take the time out to sit and enjoy it. But I do want to say that it's important to exercise emotional self-care, and that's what we're talking about today. So now we're gonna move on and bring in our special guest. I'm so excited. This episode of Sedalia and Jai Show is sponsored by Tandem Media. Again, Tandem Media. I have a really special treat for you guys tonight. Actually, this episode is sponsored by Tandem Media. They're gonna be here for a little bit because they put in, honey. This is a paid sponsorship, but this is really cool because Tandem Media, again, is here in Toronto. So it's not applicable to those of you who are not in Toronto, unfortunately. But those of you who are in Toronto, y'all know what's up. Don't be acting brand new. You guys need studio spaces. You need an in-house photographer. You need a makeup artist. You need etc. You need to hit up Tandem Media. All the contact information is there. And I'm so confident and certain about Tandem Media. I've worked with them. Okay, I'm not just giving you. Y'all know how I am. Okay, realness all day, every day. I've solicited their services, and I know what to expect. I know what's going on. So I want to give you guys the insider. I'm so confident and adamant about Tandem Media that I have a secret code that I can give y'all to get 30% off. Y'all want in on that? Y'all want in on that or what? I have a secret code for you guys to get it on that. For your first time booking, if you book a Tandem Media studio space, I have a 30% discount for you guys. 30% discount. That's crazy. I don't know where you're going to get that from another studio, at least not right now, especially not during COVID. But 30% off studio space for Tandem Media, your first booking, and also if you apply to their loyalty program. If you apply to a loyalty program, you can find out more about their loyalty program on the link. You have their IG handle. You also have their website. You can go check that out. Loyalty program is detailed. There's a lot of cool things involved. And I'll give you the code. I'm going to pin the code maybe later because I need y'all to get it. I'm going to give you guys a code, okay? But only if you promise to go and check it out. The code is SN Show. I'm going to type it in so you guys aren't lost. SN Show for Sedalia and Jai Show, obviously. SN Show, I'm going to give you guys a code, and you can use it to get 30% off of your first studio booking. That's pretty impressive. All my professional headshots and my photographs that you've seen are from the in-house photographer of Tandem Media, which is, his name is Adrian. He's an incredible photographer, has a really incredible eye, and I think that you guys will really be happy. And they also are going to gift you a bottle of wine. Ooh wee! See, now I got y'all attention. See now y'all awake. Wine. Who doesn't love wine? They have red wine and white wine. Red wine, white wine. Red wine, white wine. What do you want? What do you need? You see this Tandem Media. They not only are an incredible service, but they house their own wine. They will gift you a bottle of wine of your choice. You can either have a Pinot Grigio or a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Moscato. Honey, me personally, I love a good Pinot Grigio and a Cabernet Sauvignon if I'm feeling sexy, okay? But incredible. Again, you guys need to make sure you want a free bottle of wine so you can taste it, and it's really it's well made. Their grapes come from vineyards in California. So yeah, we're in Toronto, but they're up on game. They know what's up. So we're gonna move forward from the promo. We're gonna invite a special guest in tonight. I'm really happy to have him here. You guys, for those of you here, please give a clap and a round of applause for a special guest tonight. We are young. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good evening, love. Look at you. Quarantine got you over there looking like Wolverine, baby.
Oh, man. It looks like an X-Men, man. Quarantine got everybody here looking like cavemen.
Honey. Well, not everybody. Look at me. Okay, I'm over here. I'm looking cute.
I haven't seen a barber
so
since.
long.
Yeah, it has been a very long time. Long time since I've seen a barber. I haven't seen a barber since February, so.
But you know what, guys? I'm really happy that you're actually quarantining, because I know, guys, I just kind of realizing how vain people were. Like, I know I look like this, but women were different. Like, we know how to do it ourselves. Like, I had to adapt and learn how to groom myself, because I couldn't go get my eyebrows done or my beard waxed, you know?
Exactly. So y'all are used to self-care. Like I'm used to going
That's
to a bar.
true, but even some women, believe it or not, Kevin, like I'm girly girl, but I don't know like how to like even paint my own nails. Like I'm natural. Like I don't do that stuff.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, at least you know how to do your hair. It's at least
that's true. I had to learn.
Yeah, I'm still getting there with the Wolverine thing.
It's okay, but I know you got buddies; they can come through. But yeah, I get what you mean. But this has been a really like enlightening, open moment for me. Like I think everyone's learning how to be themselves a little bit. Do you agree?
Yeah, it sounds much sadder when you hear it out loud, but yes, I agree. I concur. Yes, people are learning how to be themselves. Yes,
absolutely. But how's it going? Tell the people where you're in right now. You're not in Toronto. No. You're coming to us from the States, and tell us what's going on in your city with COVID.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in Philadelphia. I'm speaking to you from my place in Philadelphia, my theater room. Philadelphia, we are one of the better cities when it comes to COVID. I think we're near the green in terms of cases decreasing in the city, and there being more people who are COVID free.
Right.
I know University of Pennsylvania, they're trying to issue out a vaccine Bill Gates has been heading that, and he's trying to implement that. One of the first hospitals, if not the first hospital, he's trying to implement that is University of Pennsylvania Hospital in Philadelphia.
Okay.
But yeah,
because I read something about in the news, CNN, of course, we're in phase 3 clinical trials for the COVID vaccine, at least in the States. That's what they're saying. Well, there's 25 companies trying to create a vaccine at the moment, and the leading one, I can't remember, but the leading one, they're like in phase 3.
Yeah, there are a lot of companies that are trying to create. I think that I read a headline that they're pumping. I think Trump is trying to pump $1.4 billion into creating a vaccine for every American.
Yeah.
And I have my feelings about vaccines.
Please let me know, because I'm a little bit like that's, first of all, when I heard that the one company, like you're saying there's 25, but the one company that I read on CNN, they're saying that they invested over $470 something million total.
Yeah.
I said, do you know how many mouths I can feed?
Well, yeah, I mean, comparatively, that's nothing, because he's trying to pump in $1.4 billion into that, so that's like more than 3 times that. But they're trying to, at least from what it appears, they're trying to take the COVID cases seriously. I'm going to be probably 3rd or 4th round when it comes to vaccines. I'm going to wait for everybody else to test it and see those.
Absolutely, they're doing clinical trials. I'm not. They said 30,000. About 30,000 people are doing clinical trials. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah.
Likewise.
I'm not going to be volunteering.
Yeah, I'm not in that population at all. No. I'll wait to see how it goes before I join you guys, join the party. Yeah.
That's important. That's important to know. That's interesting. But you guys have been quarantining. Are you guys here? We have masks. You have to wear face masks to go anywhere in public.
Yeah,
you have to. Is that the same mandate in your city?
Yeah, same thing. Same. I mean, we're under quarantine. We have to stay in the house. If you don't have anywhere to be, it's highly recommended. It's not as emergent as it was like maybe in April, late March, April, that they didn't want to catch you outside unless you had an emergency. Now they're being a bit more free because the summertime is here. But I'm hearing that there is I knew this from the beginning, but I'm hearing that there is a second wave that is definitely coming. I think we had the most cases in COVID. I think it was either a 24-hour period or a week. Not Philadelphia, America, as a nation, had the most COVID cases in the world. Period. Within that short time span, or something along that nature, something along the lines.
Right.
So that second wave is definitely going to hit, cities, especially major cities like New York and Philly and all that. And we're going to go back to the emergency state where everybody stays inside again because some of us can't follow the rules. And, whenever this is over.
All I got to say to you, I don't mean to rub it in your face. I'm happy I'm in
Canada. I wish I was somewhere else too, but, here. If I want to be somewhere else, I couldn't. I can't travel, so I'm here. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't worry. When the border's open, you could come see me. I'll give you refuge. I'm telling you, Canada is what's up. Canada is what's up. But we're gonna move forward a little bit. I'm happy that you're safe. I'm happy that you're doing well, and I hope that your family is doing well equally. But you and I, we've known each other for quite a long time. I'm feeling very old right now. We're not gonna disclose this information.
No graduation.
Nope, it's a secret. I'm feeling quite old. But yeah, I know that you actually, for those who don't know, like, oh my God, who's the man behind the Nerd Inventions company, and who is the man? We always even see the apps that we create. The apps that we play on, right? Games. Mm-hmm. And I'm not much of a gamer, but there are still a few apps that I just do to pass my time, like in boredom, right?
Right.
And you never think about the people who are creating this. You never think about it because you don't have access to them. I don't know what it is, but I don't think about it. I'm just like, oh, this is something accessible, instant gratification, right? I have it. I'm going to play this game to pass my time. But I never think about the people that took the time to create those games for my entertainment. So that's why I'm very happy to have you on the show today, not only to speak to us about the men behind those games, because you're a representation of that, right? Even though we're talking about Black people in tech, you're a representation of all those people who are kind of in that field and doing that background work that's not acknowledged, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely, because we don't think about that. So there's that, but then there's also the understanding, at least for me, that COVID, if it's taught us several lessons. One of which is that technology is going to take over. It has been taking over, and it will be the dominating force, perhaps. I think it can go either one of two ways. Either one, we realize the effects of technology in terms of negative effects, meaning like how it affects human interaction, or we realize or can tap into the positive effects of technology, not social media, technology that is completely reliant and dependent on. We are all going to be reliant and dependent on that source solely, right?
right.
So yeah, so I want to kind of first just kind of start from a place of cohesiveness and coherentness, like about your background. Like I know that you were really into mass media arts in college, but it's still technology in terms of camera work. But how did you get into tech carrément, like all the way totally into tech where you're coding and creating apps? Like what is so random?
Well, so it's not. So basically, I started to learn how to code because I, like 2014, I started learning how to code because I wanted to. It became a New Year's resolution to try to do things that intellectually intimidated me. So I wanted to do three things. I wanted to. I graduated from Clark Atlanta and I got done working at ESPN, so I wanted to get into Ivy League grad school. I wanted to learn a foreign language, and I wanted to teach myself how to code and program.
What foreign language did you learn?
I learned how to speak Spanish.
Hey,
and,
okay. Yeah,
and
most
I'm
demand
actually,
language in demand in the States for sure.
well, I'm actually learning French right now. I'm teaching myself French right now.
Ouh, honey, je vais t'apprendre. On va parler le français. I will teach you. We can brush up. T'inquiète pas.
Est-ce que vous comprenez le français?
Ben, bien sûr, je suis sénégalo-américaine.
Très bien, très bien.
I love it. Yes. Don't worry. You can brush up with me. I'm loving it.
Sure. We got a French conversation later. But yeah, so I wanted to learn how to, speak a different language at the time. I knew English, a bit of my native language, but I wanted to learn how to speak a different language. I wanted to learn how to code. So when I got into Columbia, I started teaching myself how to write code. I got into the master's program for journalism, and I started teaching myself how to write code and build apps. And it's not only for, I guess, the intellectual challenge of it, but also that certainly was one of the driving points of it, self-improvement and all that. But it's also because I was so inspired by so many of the apps that you talk about, like the games we play, how much money they were making. I was reading, at that time that Candy Crush was making $800,000 a day off the apps. Off Candy Crush alone. It wasn't, the other games like Candy Crush Soda Saga,
What?
or Bubble Whip Saga, or other things like that. They were making like
Yeah.
$300,000 off of those alone, separately. Candy Crush alone
That's
was making
wild.
okay. And sometimes they're making $1 million per day. So, me with all these student loans,
Hello.
don't
talk about that. Yes, amen.
So, started to learn how to code. I started in a very esoteric language, to say the least, Objective-C, and that was a pretty challenging language to start off first. But I started off with that. Built Zoobler in Objective-C, released it in October. It did very well for the beginning, and got some publicity, and from then on, I just got really, really fascinated with not only the success and not only the acclaim of it, but also like just the intellectual challenge. I feel like my brain is being stimulated every single day by just the voluminous amount of information and how rigidly logical it is. I think it challenges both my left brain and my right brain, which is very rare for anything I've done in life, where both sides of my brain are being challenged, my creative side and my logical side. I think coding does that very, very well, and it's has me here since 5 years. And Nerd Inventions is so strong. 3 apps later, virtual reality, augmented reality, and COVID-19, we're still surviving and doing well.
Honey, yes, and you're going to continue to survive it. But that's so incredible to me. That's crazy to me. I know you mentioned, Zoobler, and that was the first major project that you worked on, right? Like as in this transition of actually having your first major project come out, going from, again, mass media to tech and coding specifically, and app creation. And it's a video game, and it's built for the iPhone, and it's available on Android as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, Zoobler's not available on Android. Zoobler's only available on Apple.
On iPhone, only on Apple, yeah. Or we say iPhone. Us fancy users, we're like, we need layman's terms, even though that's not layman's, right?
Yeah, no.
It's only on iPhone. But tell us a little bit about when that was released. A little more. I know you touched on it briefly, and that's why I want to bring it up now. Because it did incredibly well. So I want to know a little bit more about the game. Okay, Zoobler. Okay, like, I'm not into that. I need to know what's up. I need to know what this is about.
Yeah, I mean, it's so.
The name is fun. I like saying it. Zoobler.
That was the intention behind it, to be fun to say. No, like the game is so it's definitely it's a game in outer space. It's influenced a lot by some of the games I played in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid, of course.
Hey.
Yeah, so it's it has retro graphics and a bit of 16-bit look, but it's set on outer space, and it's supposed to appear very simple on the surface, and it's supposed to be very challenging to play. I don't know if you played it yet. But
I haven't yet. I've tapped into it a little bit because I was preparing for a show, and I got, it's very hard to play. I was like stressed out. I was like, what's going on?
So yeah, and see, when people say that, like, if I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or take that as a point of.
You should take it as a compliment, because if something was easy, I wouldn't even bother. Duh. Like, I have to work towards something. That's the whole point of stimulation. Hello.
But see, that's the point, because it's like, for gamers, I take that as a real compliment when like a hardcore gamer says, "Yo, Zoobler was hard." For like the regular casual person, I was like, "Oh, should I have made that a bit easier? Should I have made level 1 a bit easier so that the casual person who doesn't play video games can actually like enjoy it and feel like confident about themselves and their skills and everything?" But no, Zoobler's meant to be hard. It's meant to be challenging, and I don't really apologize for that. It's a game that's meant to be challenging, but meant to be a lot of fun too. It's meant to the colors, the fact that it's outer space is meant to and the 16-bit graphics is meant to bring you back to the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis days.
Okay. Now you say that, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was definitely the vibes that I was getting. I was like, this feels old school.
Oh no,
a little bit.
It's intentional, and it's meant to it's. The goal is to get the right color alien to the right color planet, but they come out randomly, and you have to. The whole part about it that's challenging is that the winds go in different directions, so you have to get the winds in a coherent pattern to get the right alien to the right planet, and they come out rapidly. They get faster and faster as you keep succeeding. The time of them coming out gets down from like 5 seconds to like every 3 seconds, every 2 seconds to every second. You just have to be really, really quick, and think really recognize patterns very, quickly. Be able to recognize colors. Be able to think under pressure.
So basically, brain games.
That was an implied intention without saying.
Yeah, because we have versions that we do it all the time. We should be doing it more, but like, there's different versions of that. But that's why I really love it, and wanted you to talk about it, because I think that's really healthy. Like, it's not just like, I don't like unintentional games, like just game to game or play to play. Like, I like the stimulation of other parts of your brain, of practicing our cognitive capabilities, just because we're so, I don't know, day to day, we're like monotonous, mundane, very,
Yeah, it's meant to improve all the critical thinking fundamentals of, well, not all, but definitely some of the key critical thinking fundamentals, especially not to get too neurological, but like the neocortex is supposed to help improve
Yeah.
the ability to learn and the ability to learn new things, new patterns, understand new information, and apply it immediately. And I think it's a refreshing game because, like you said, like there's games in the App Store where it's just these are just time wasters. Like there's no stimulation. I'm just doing this to kill time because I'm in the doctor's office or I'm waiting for somebody and they kill
Right.
time.
Why don't you develop your brain cells while you're waiting for something else?
Right.
Absolutely. Especially in this generation of multitasking, yes?
Yeah, why not improve your brain cells and have fun and take a time machine back in the 90s and 80s.
Hey, I'm here for it. And that must be incredibly difficult. And so, I want to ask you, like, that must be difficult too, like, because you mentioned earlier, like, I thought the game was challenging enough, and then it's not challenging for some. So you were like kind of thinking about gamers when you kind of created this app and the others that we'll talk about in the show.
Oh,
You were
yeah.
thinking about yourself, you were thinking about gamers like yourself, but again, you have to consider those who maybe are not necessarily, in that realm. And so maybe you might need to adapt. Would you be open to that, like adapting the game a little bit, like the level, like, because people are like, it's hard. You're like, that's what I want, but is it still information for you to maybe not adapt this to this game, but to other projects that you will move forward with and create, where you have levels that can be a little simpler?
Well, I mean, every game has its audience. Every app has its audience.
But that's what
So
I'm saying. But even still, like, to draw in even more, like, I'm just impressed by the like creativity behind even knowing, like, because you have to start, we start with a target audience, but then from that target audience, that's like the center or the highest level, but then you still have to like come down from that for other levels, right?
yeah, and the it's definitely working from the core upward. What I was going to say is that it definitely is for a certain type of person. I do think level one is from my responses I've gotten about it. It's either make it or break it with level one. Like some people are like, "Yo, I love it. It's a rush." Like it really gives my brain, the challenge immediately. Level one. And the others are like, hey, you need to make the onboarding process a bit easier. But that's why we have a tutorial in the game. We have a tutorial in the game that, explains things. And even in the video you see up above, you have like the dummy aliens where you can test out the level when it first starts. And then
Yeah.
before the game actually starts. So, but I do think that, I do agree. I think that level one can be easier. I think that is not
For us
diluting.
non-techies and non-gamers. Jeez, Kevin, okay.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I agree. I concur. I think that make a level one easier is not diluting the game.
Absolutely
The
not.
game. But I do think I do think maybe there could be more surveys done where we can understand how people feel about the game level one and everything, and then maybe update on Apple and release on Android too. For finally release on Android.
You guys go ahead, check it out, play the game, see what you want to say. If you have comments, I'm sure Kevin's open to you guys giving comments on Nerd Inventions, but basically it's lit. So I had fun trying it, but I was a little stressed out, but I'm not a gamer, so it's different for me, right? But for my gamers, I think you'll have a lot of fun. And for those of you who aren't necessarily gamers and you want to pass time, I think it's a perfect game to do so. You guys should definitely check it out. And as you've heard, he's open to that kind of feedback of how he can improve maybe the first level. Don't make us feel bad, okay? We know you're brilliant. No, I'm just kidding.
Make it easier.
I'm here for it. But we're gonna move on a little forward. And okay, I just want to know, like, I love the claiming of this identity nerd. I love the claiming of it. Yes, don't make me get gospel in here, okay? Claim it in reframe, restructure. I know that there have been times like, before this generation where like nerd was like considered, it had a negative connotation, but we know that evolution and in technology since our Facebook and our social media, we know that that's taken on a new term and now you guys are praised. But why did you choose to, first and foremost, tell us about the company Nerd Inventions, which is your tech company. Why did you choose to name it that, and how did that kind of come about?
So definitely it came about to make a positive reinforcement on, at least a positive connotation on the nerd name. I think nerd has a very, like you just, stated, has.
Self-explanatory, but powerful. That's what I'm saying. Like they're reclaiming of it. I love it. Like,
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. So like it's had a very, negative connotation for it. So yeah, it's definitely reclaiming it, but also trying to make intelligence cool. Like it should be cool they can build an app,
absolutely.
or be cool that you can think critically or innovate or create things with your mind. That should be something that's cool, not just talent, but with your actual mind, your brain power. The gift that God has given all of us. So I really like the nerd name. I think that nerds. I think we're seeing right now where we have the nerds running the aristocracy and the plutocracy of the world, where the people who were the people who were sitting in the ivory tower, the 0.001% were once coal miners, and people who own gold and during the gold rush and all those other things, were the billionaires running the world, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and all that. Now we're seeing those people be replaced with Harvard dropouts, who have who built a website or an app in their dorm room and are creating like Facebooks and changing the entire world. We have 26-year-old people creating Tumblr, making $1 billion. And these are the nerds that had a negative connotations. Growing up. You have the Elon Musks, you have the Jack Doyle's, Jack Dorsey, excuse me. You have the Mark Zuckerbergs and all those people that are quote unquote nerds that are not just changing the world, they're actually controlling it to some extent.
Absolutely. Not some extent, they are.
Yeah. I'm trying to be polite about it. I'm trying to be.
Don't be polite. Don't be keep it real, bro. Okay, don't get it twisted.
So
First of all, can anyone just talk about coolest? Okay, you talk about nerd, but coolest man I've ever known. Okay, he got the Barry White voice going on. Okay, don't. But that's what I love, right? Like maybe they don't identify you as that, but there was part of that that made you realize that was how the world was kind of perceiving this intelligence, and these are the kind of things we need to be focused on and talking about, not the vain materialistic ish.
Yeah, I mean, because I think they have this whole perception that somebody who is that bright is socially awkward or is.
And again, intelligence is the only form that is immeasurable.
Right.
Intelligence is the only thing that's immeasurable.
Yeah, nor should it be limited to, some cultural stereotype. Like there are a lot of brilliant people that do not fit those stereotypes. There are a lot of brilliant people that, are not white men, that don't fit those stereotypes either, So there are, we should also open that. And, in my company, Nerd Inventions, nerd stands for never, ever really done. And it's to focus on, just like, science is an art, at least that's one of my expressions. Science is an art, and it's sort of an oxymoron, but it's really not, because it's science is never art is never really done. And my creations, they're scientific, apps, technology, but it's never ever really done. We're never ever done innovating. We're never ever done improving. We're never ever done creating. Technology. Facebook was once a college website for people who just had a .edu email address. Now it's, you know, changing political elections, so you can video call on Facebook, you can send money on Facebook, you can sell businesses and have the entire marketplaces on Facebook is the, you know, center of the world. Now we get all journalism and news and media, especially millennials from Facebook. I mean, it's become the center of the world. So compare 2020 Facebook to what was Facebook in 2004 when Zuckerberg created it on the Harvard dorm room, just a website for college students. It's incredibly transformed, and that's through never ever really being done. That's through creativity that people ascribe artwork with, but technology is definitely, you know, not a stranger to that at all. Science is definitely an art to me as well. It's just an art to it.
I agree, and that's part of what I love, because you did have kind of that artistic eye, and that what would perhaps be, you know, the field initially that was considered as, you know, more socially or culturally accepted, and then you've taken that analysis and applied it to this, and that's what I really love, right? Which is where we're able to meet eye to eye, where even someone like me can relate to you and see this in another light and be like, yeah, he's right. I want to learn more about this. I want to be a part of this.
Right, exactly.
Right? You have an interesting perspective and I call it the bridging gaps. You're bridging gaps.
I hope so.
Yeah, you are. And people like that are needed. That's what's needed. Absolutely. So we know Zoogler was the first game that you kind of worked on, and then you also have another. Well, before that, I want to know. Okay, coding, really, Kevin? Like coding, this shit's hard as F. What? Why? What was that experience like? Did you find coding difficult? I don't think it's something I could ever just kind of switch from, given that we started off in the same field.
Well, yeah, because you know, it's that exact perception that I want to combat. I really want to.
You want to debunk those assumptions.
Yeah. I want to debunk it. Yeah, and because you're right. You know, I studied journalism and mass media arts. Just like yourself. So I didn't go to school for computer science. I taught myself computer science. You know, off the internet, off reading, you know, books and, you know, YouTube and, you know, but I haven't done anything formal computer science, but I was able to teach myself how to write code. Right. And I think, you know, the part about it that is very interesting is that, you know, coding, before I would think of things as hard or difficult or challenging. I feel like coding has just given me a whole new perspective of that, you know, because
clearly,
but you know, it's shown me that, you know, things aren't really hard. Nothing's really hard. Things just may require your brain to think in more steps than it's used to thinking in steps, you know. So if you're just thinking, you know,
y'all hold on real quick, because they know. You saw my mental health portion at the beginning of the show. I always be trying to unlock it so that they understand that you can do anything. Literally, it's not a cliche that you set your mind to.
Oh no! I mean, we like this, humans. You know, I believe it's definitely true. Humans use 10% of their minds. You know, there's so much brain power that's untapped and unused. You know, like I saw, you know, recently. This man called the Brain Man, Daniel Tammet. You probably heard of him. He's done a TED Talk and everything. He has perfect memory, where he's able to remember, you know, pretty much any and everything. And he's able to, he learned Icelandic, you know, this language in Iceland in 7 days because he memorized the language, you know. His brain is extraordinary, but he had like a seizure, knocked his head when he was like 4 years old. And now he can not only do that, remember things, but he sees numbers as like images, you know. And he can remember, you know, he can remember every prime number up until like, I think 7 million. And he remembered all the numbers of pi to like the 20,000 digit at Oxford and everything. And these are things that, you know, he's a guy from England. He, you know, wasn't, you know, he didn't go to some extraordinary school to learn these things. He was doing these things, you know, as a child, remembering these things and all these other things. And it just shows me how far the mind can go.
Right.
You know, but I think some of us, I don't think that, you know, I think a lot of us know that. I just think that, you know, when things feel tedious or things require our brain to think in more steps or stress and it's not, learning this is not as easy as what I'm used to learning, or, I'm used to thinking in 5 steps and that's it. Why am I having to think of 20 steps for this? Just do something like this. You know what? Let me just give up. And we cheat ourselves of a lot of opportunities. And coding and programming kind of opened that door for me, because I'm like, I want to learn how to code. I was like, serious about it, because I wanted, a better career. I wanted to be able to pay off the student loans, like I was saying earlier. Tarkland is not cheap. Neither is Columbia.
Right.
So, I want to pay off the student loans. So, that was that was one of the strongest motivations behind it. And, when you're forced to learn it, and you're forced to learn how to code, I think it just gives you a whole new perspective of, your mental stamina, and not getting tired quickly, and not, exhausting because something seems hard or challenging. Like, if it seems hard or challenging, or intimidating, let's learn it so much, and let's learn so much of it, and let's become so good at it that it's not intimidating anymore. It doesn't challenge you anymore. It's normal. It becomes normalized. It's just as normal as, doing 1 + 1 or 2 + 2. Coding should be just as normal as that, normalized. I think if you treat most things that intimidate you like that, you'd be surprised how much.
Debunking that intimidation, because again, I think that a lot of it is intimidation. I know that there are certain domains where you get into them because you know what you're passionate about, you know what you're good at, kind of innately, and through education, you kind of figure that out ahead of time. But there are still people who maybe could even do it, but there's still that small percentage discrepancy where they're intimidated, and that's why they don't engage in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Facts. So you know what, Kevin, I'm going to bring you right back, but we're almost running out of time. IG only lets us here for an hour. So I want to just hang up and then come right back on, because we're going to just kind of wrap up things really. There's a lot more we need to talk about. We're going to do it efficiently and quickly. So let me just end live, and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. We'll be right back. This episode of the Sedalia and Jai Show is sponsored again, ladies and gentlemen, by Tandem Media. Please hit them up. Again, I gave you guys a 30% studio discount, where if you're here in Toronto, you get 30% off your first booking. That's money I'm giving away for free. Use my code. I have a code, a secret. Shh, I won't tell you. I'm gonna tell you the code, honey. All right, SN Show. Shh, SN Show. You use that code, you'll get 30% discount. Don't tell them I told you. All right, we'll be right back.